have flash.
No flash Talia, no flash Talia, no flash Talia.
I can't fight.
I can't. No flash, look.
Nice!
Siping shove is good, but they don't have the damage. The disengage is there, but here comes a singing queen!
Nice!
Oopsie. Look at what's happening on the front of the fight. Yoppa about to take Paris down as Douglas gets a remaining kill. Vitality's team fighting has been so redeeming in game 2. They shout, they scream, and the bee gets to fly and spread its wings.
Thank you so much for joining me during this series. Completely different drafts from game 1 to game 2. Tell me about the approach and the change here, and why did you think it was what was going to bring you the victory here?
Yeah, I think most importantly for us will be top lane. And we changed picks from Zyra to Rumble. We knew that Zyra should be something they are quite comfortable on. So we wanted to ban it, but this Rumble has proven pretty difficult, honestly, to manage. And we know that as soon as Nak is in a comfortable position, then honestly, we are probably just having a better top laner.
And looking at the state of the game right now, we are in game 2, around 10 minutes into the game. What should the state of the game be after the early game for you guys to grab the victory? What is the expectation?
Expectation is that we would like to have a lead. I don't feel like we need it necessarily with our comp. Seraphine has really good scaling, and this allows team fights later on to be pretty comfortable, to be honest. We know that BDSA doesn't necessarily handle being behind too well. And most importantly, like throughout the splits, they have been ahead in pretty much every single game. So we know that when they're behind, they play a very different play style from than they do when they are ahead. This is something we want to see if we can take advantage of throughout the early game.
And I saw that you're also sitting down with the coaching staff from the LEC team as well. Have you guys been working together? Any words of wisdom and guidance that they've been able to share to you?
Yeah, we have been working together. They are a great addition to the team, and honestly, we knew, and talking with them is like super helpful for anything game related as well. They are really respectful in the sense that, well, it's me and Nahu's team and more staff as well. So they're very respectful in the sense that we are still going to be playing our game, but then finding every opportunity they can to basically help us perfect the game that we are already playing.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. Wishing you the best of luck in the rest of the series. Thank you so much. Jeannie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Laure. A lot of insights here from an interview when we're looking at Vitality particularly and how they were approaching this game, the changes in draft, but welcome back to EMEA Masters. And we have a little game called Bingo that we're going to be taking part of. Particularly, we're going to be looking at the Vitality Bingo card because we just had a Vayne top lane. I'm not complaining.
That's definitely a range top as well over here for Nagnako. I need someone to cross that out.
Yeah, well, Ginny has fingernails, so she can peel off the stickers pretty well.
Ginny,
I do not have
if you would
fingernails.
please do us the honor.
Nice. What else do we get?
Nice.
We got Yoppa and Seraphine.
Yoppa and Seraphine over here.
Okay,
there we go.
Yep. That's a weird noise.
Nagnako leans back. He's off camera. Was he off camera? I'm not sure.
I don't think he was off camera.
No, he
Jarek did play an AD mid, though, in the Corki.
Oh, that's very nice.
So
that's
almost
very,
a bingo there.
nice. Yeah,
I feel like we might spend a lot of time doing this if we're going to go through all of this.
How much do you want to spend on this?
Let's do one more. I mean, we can go for... does Douglas gank top lane? Yes, he did.
He did gank top lane.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very easy bingo.
Yeah,
Are you gonna put it in?
I got
the sticker.
Whoa. I mean,
and I have the last one here for you, Mikkel.
Thank you. And one addition to my sticker collection. Yeah, I met Mac as well. He made sure to remind me that I dropped the Vitality sticker earlier. So
accident,
I got it back on.
right?
Yeah, of course. I didn't pull that off.
Amazing.
Totally didn't put it back on just because Vitality was back on track after a very interesting draft that we've seen from them considering how game 1 went.
No, absolutely. But I also just think it's straight back to comfort. Like, we expected wackiness coming out of the draft. We didn't really see that in game 1. And Vitality.Bee made this control chaos that they've been thriving in. And I think seeing Yoppa back on a champion like Seraphine as well, having Douglas on the brand that created these well-winning skirmishes, which was what Dacta wanted in his win conditions for Vitality.Bee earlier today, is exactly what you wanted to see from them.
Yeah, I think we heard a lot about it in the interview as well, where BDS struggled to play from behind. We really saw that in this game. The amount of times they were just chucking their bodies into the wall, trying to find picks. Even the Kedwee's flash under the mid lane tower when Alistair is obviously there. It really feels like Vitality.Bee read their opponents for this game rather than just trying to do what they do best.
Yeah, I think we could go straight into the first fight as well. A little bit of an overextension from Paris, and he had quite a few here. But I completely agree with you, Medic, because it's the fact that Vitality got ahead in this fight where they overextend. Then or BDS rather, sorry. But then their way of getting back into the game was saying, how do we do it again? Well, we take another mid-fight, and then they lose the other one. So it felt like BDS, they just fell too far behind in the early game. They were too overzealous with some of their movement in this mid lane, and they just got punished for it, quite frankly.
And it's really interesting because BDS kept finding these fights or looking for these fights. I'm not sure they'll be very happy that they found them. But then they actually had some really good macro moves in the mid game where they managed to get Rika back in the game. Like, Rika was even on items with Chayak, even though he was 4 kills down. And then they just threw their bodies into the wall again.
It's what they do best, Medic. But even then, right, I think the fact that Chayak got so accelerated in the early game made it so easier for him because he had a Triforce before Rika finished his first item. He also had plated steel caps, which means in the AD carry versus AD carry matchup, you're just not in a position where you can actually trade even. So despite having a Tristana that's well known for the burst damage on the E, Rika was never in a position where he could actually win on the side lane. And you can see on Chayak's stats here, he was a Superman in the mid lane.
Yeah, he really was. And then alongside him, we had the powerhouse in the bot lane. Stendon, that Alistair had such a strong performance. We saw in the final fight, actually, how he was able to distract basically all of BDS Academy just by standing in their faces. Like, everyone else is dying around them, and the Alistair's just there like, okay, I have Unbreakable Will, I have a Warmogs, good luck trying to kill me.
I really wonder how long he's actually tanking it, because I swear, it's Ocean Soul as well, right? So it's just never happening. 23-minute Ocean Soul as well. Great Dragon priority from Vitality. We talked about the objective fighting. Honestly, this is not even one of the ones we find amazing. It's just the one where they're so far ahead, nothing BDS can do about it.
I think what really stood out to me here from the side of Vitality is that we've seen one way of them approaching draft and the game, particularly in that first one. We're now into the second game. It felt like a completely different approach, a completely different team, and if anything, it felt like BDS Academy was not necessarily ready for it. It wasn't something that they expected, even though earlier today they mentioned we've had a lot of time, there's been prep, we've done something cooking up back behind the scenes, but that wasn't necessarily the case.
I mean, it's not unheard of for BDS. Yeah, they threw out Heretics, but even back when these two teams played in the lower bracket of LFL, it was kind of the same story too, where they did drop a game against Vitality. So I guess you can use previous games to predict this one, Medic. But it's still one of those games where I think that they are now choosing red side on BDSA. They're going to have a much more comfortable time on this side, because as much as Vitality.Bee love getting these counter pick for their solo laners or priority picks for the jungle, it's the same story for BDS.
Oh, 100%. Like, if you can get Genax a more favorable matchup in the top lane, I don't think Naka was the deciding factor on the Bane in this game, but it also gives you another outlet for Vitality, right? If Chayak doesn't get far enough ahead, well, then Yoppa can just buff up Naka as the fight goes on. You have all of these different tools in your toolkit, but when you lose R5, when you lose that final pick, that counter pick, it becomes a lot more tricky for Vitality.Bee to actually find that flexibility in the draft.
But it's also something that, of course, when you're looking at Vitality.Bee, they would have expected at some point to come out for them to be going onto that blue side. So I'm looking forward towards what they're going to be changing in their draft. Coming into the second game, we were on the desk, we were saying, actually, you know what? You can stick with that game one draft. You can go do it for a second game. You can see what went wrong. You don't need to make adaptations, but they've done it. So they can just flip it back around again, and we can see game one.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see Dagler still on some of these AP junglers. As good as he has been on some of the Maokais and Sejuanis, I want to see him in a position where they win skirmish through some of the burst damage that come through from this pick. You're also just opening up the mid lane with these ADs for Chayak, who he's clearly been quite comfortable on.
Yeah, very much agree.
I'm looking forward to game 3 as well, because this is only getting bloodier and bloodier. So we're ready to head over to our casters. We have Broxa, Aragon, and Hysterics.
Woo! Whoa! Much better. Okay, now we're talking, and that should be the environment, the feel coming into a third game where Vitality switched on, recovered from the first game. They talked a lot about draft. Again, we said coming into today, it would be a massive draft discussion because it inherits a merit that Vitality.Bee is all about.
Now, red side for BDSA, it's going to make blinding.
It is.
Genax a little bit tricky. You know what? I love that they leaned into the quirky AD carry picks. I hope they just send it. You know what? Pick a Neela. Blind it. Go on, Yoppa.
Do you want to blind Neela?
He did it last time, you know, in semis. I'm completely down with it.
Yeah, what does Broxa think about that one?
He's a bit skeptical for now, but again, you know, we saw them bring out some great adaptations in the last draft, so I'm very curious to see what they have in store for us this time around.
Instantly. So, okay, so the strategy so far for BDSA has been we attack Douglas, we attack the Vi, you know, strategies they've leaned on Vi,
Speaking of Nila, by the way.
They knew it was going to happen.
They heard you.
They did hear me. Guys, the commentator, he just said they should blind pick Nila. Let's ban it.
What's next?
Yeah, so I think, you know, the standard picks, I think Rumble's going to be taken away from Vitality.Bee unless they want to pick it, but Nako, he doesn't strike me as a wrong player, although he has picked it before, but there it goes.
Curious to see what BDSA are going to do here. In the previous 2 drafts, we saw them banning Vi and Varus, 2 champions that are no longer as scary because they don't have to, you know, be threatened by the counter pick from Vitality.
Yeah, so I do think in series meta sort of develop, and the one that I'm seeing right now is the Rel and Alistair dynamic. I do think, you know, you could in a standard best of 1 see a Rel B1, right? But it's been not doing so hot into the Alistair recently, so I do think there's potential that we don't see that, and in the end, Paris does get it. But that is my go-to B1 right now.
Rel definitely was a prior pick in the first game. However, second game, we saw the Alistar coming in really clutch.
You know, another one as well, we've had Vi banned 2 games in a row. Douglas is most played, and one of his favorites so far at EMEA Masters has been that. As they ban the Seraphine, that's another option outside of the realm.
So what BDSA were doing is they were targeting all the strategies that Vitality.Bee showed in previous stages in champions like the Vi and Kai'Sa paired together. Not going to go for it, though. Actually opted the Ezreal for Yoppa or Shayek as a flex.
And now we'll have to see what BDSA are going to do about this Ezreal. Are they going to look for a jungle pick, something like the Brand was blinded here on 1-2 by Vitality.Bee last time around. Syra, I believe, was even banned pretty early in draft, so this could be a great adaptation from them. We saw the power of the AP junglers come in. Of course, Talia didn't live up to expectations, but Skirmishes has been a fantastic Syra so far this tournament, so I'm very excited.
Well said.
You can log in Rel if you want to here, great pairing with the Zyra. You can also match AD carry kind of flex with something like a Zeri if you want to, or pick up the Tristana again. I think these are your 2 main go-to options. Skumon, Nunu Hover again.
Yeah, not going to put much into it until we see that same priority on the Yone. Rika's Yone in game 1 was unbearable for Vitality.Bee. So that is, again, another comfort pick here for the mid laner of BDSA.
This is something players like to do, right? They win on something, then they lose on something else, and they go back to what they won on. Can you attest to that?
The question is whether we're going to see the Rel being prioritized once again, because it looked fantastic in game 1, not so great in game 2, and like you said, sometimes that can lead to people losing faith in the pick. Brand. Speaking of a pick that was performing game 2, wow.
There's that Rel
Happy
too.
to see that being back.
Those are comfort picks coming through for Vitality.Bee, and again, Ezreal goes back into the power of Vitality.Bee too. It's still a flex. We don't know what lane it's going to go here, as well as getting some really solid picks for Stend and for Douglas that they performed on all tournament long. On the other side, BDSA, we talk about them needing engage setup as well for the follow-through. The Leona makes a debut in the series.
Not going to go with the Alistair standard pick into the Rel, but instead picking up more engage and lockdown with the Leona. Now, these 4-5 bans are going to be very telling as to what Vitality.Bee want to blind. What do you ban? Maybe the TF for the Cassante blind, maybe the Renekton so you can ban Cassante as well. Pick Cassante as well, rather. It's really on Genax. I do wonder. He's got so many quirky picks. Mordekaiser into Cassante we saw. We saw Nasus into Kennen blind. Genax has an answer for everything.
And that's what it's all about, just making sure that Nako doesn't get away with, you know, a stable top lane blind pick. Smolder, I think, is a smart ban. It's going to be pretty hard to reach the backline from Vitality.Bee with Rel frontlining, with Brand poking everybody, and with Rylai on top and everything.
Yeah, I will say, just something to call out, they did flex Yone at one point in this tournament. Genax did play it into a Cassante, so if we do see a Cassante blind for Nako, they could put Genax on this Yone up top side as well. Renekton banning out that counter to Yone in the mid lane and top. That Smolder ban is curious. It does set up something like a Cassante blind.
Yep. With the Renekton ban as well, I guess, enforcing that, reinforcing that, I should say.
Well, it is worth noting, we touched on it earlier, Joppa also has a pretty crazy champion pool, so it's not bad to blind pick top here and ensure that, you know, something wonky is on the way. Countless AD carries have already been removed from the pool. What's it going to be?
Yeah, usually I was about to say there's a Nila setup, but they B1 banned Nila, so immediately that point is mute. I do think they should blind pick AD carry here, probably. Something like a flex that they can bring between mid and bot lane. Kai'Sa can be flex between mid and bot, so I like that pick.
Also a good takeaway, especially since Vitality.Bee have loved this Kai'Sa flex too. So it is one thing away from Yoppa or Chayek. On the other side, what do we get? Again, we talked about the Cassante as a blind here as an option.
Usually into Kai'Sa's down in bot side at the very least. You want to take stuff that really stomps her in lane, right? Kalista, Draven, what have you. Anything that can stomp the lane. You could send Ezreal down bot side or flex in mid, but they're not going to do that. It's the Yoppa Ziggs.
Yoppa Ziggs, okay. Back again on something that's just going to try and scale up.
What's the blind pick now for Nagnako? That is the question. What are we going to see? Cassante is still up and available, but you know that the Mordekaiser or something like this is going to come out for Gen X if you do pick it. Kennen blind is viable, but again, the Nasus can come out in response.
You think he would blind his Varus here?
His Varus? I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's the first time it hasn't been banned. It's a valid point,
there it
Boxer,
is.
but yep, Gen X plays this much like many LPL top laners.
I think it's just so difficult. I think how do you blind versus both of these top laners? They have so many different counter picks.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little bit rough because of double AP, so they're going to swap over to the Gnar.
Okay.
A little bit less.
All set up?
It's a rough matchup. It's also in the 1v1, especially you get very outscaled as Cassante.
Okay.
I think ultimately BDSA recognized that the team fights didn't go their way last time around, and now they have a very, very strong comp with great engage, great disengage, and just so many tools to pressure throughout the early game, but especially in team fights. They, however, will still need to get a little creative to reach the likes of Ezreal, Brand, and Six.
Yeah.
So let's see how well Vitality.Bee can cover them when the time comes.
I gotta say, I like Vitality.Bee draft a lot. I see a lot of dive from BDSA, but then you're diving onto a Brand, you know, and a lot of disengage from the Ezreal, so it's gonna be quite difficult to cover the gap. You do have a bit of range to play with. You have the Zyro poke, you have the potential Kai'Sa Ws as well. But overall, I think Vitality.Bee's draft, Ziggs is pretty broken right now. I'd take that.
Yeah, he's in a good spot. And, you know, when you see Yoppa, Yoppa is this supportive player who's flexible, who can play carries, but also in his last game on the Seraphine, played such a vital role to the success of Vitality, a frustrating role to BDSA. And it's thrown a spanner into the works. And that's what we knew Vitality coming into the finals would do. They would be able to play around their draft flexibility, and they've once again pulled out something different for game number 3. But let's not forget, BDSA were hyped up for a big reason, not just being the LFL first seed, but the way they came through EMEA Masters so far. Their game 1 was smashing. Their game 2, they got smashed. Can they return to the quality performance? Can they get through this early game and set themselves up for some of these skirmishes? I think Dagda was talking about Vitality.Bee. They need to elongate and maybe back away from. There's been so many words thrown around, but into a game 3 where the standings are equal, we have to see who wants it more, who can get closer to that trophy.
And
let's begin.
And I do think, with the way this series is going, it's going to be a fast 5 games if it goes to 5 games, because every game is just so bloody. I think it was a 22-minute soul last game. It feels like it's permanent fighting, and because the other games are just ending. So, see how this one goes. In terms of the early game, who do you prefer, Broxer?
Well, I think both teams have a lot of tools, a lot of ways to pressure the opposition here. We're going to have push and top from the Gnar on BDSA's side. Jungle matchup is pretty even.
Yep.
Zyra does have a slightly faster early jungle player, something she could take advantage of. Ezreal pushes into Yone. Bot lane, slightly contested, but ultimately, against the 6, you can't really pressure him.
Yep.
He's so good at just sitting there, soaking up the pressure, dealing with whoever comes his way, and just surviving 1v2 if he has to.
So is that a thank you, Mr. Broxer, for Vitality? Liking their options a little bit? You talk about the clear being faster, yes, for BDSA, but on the other side, Vitality.Bee being able to neutralize and mitigate a lot of the options in the early game from BDSA is my takeaway there.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately both teams have a lot of tools, and from a drafting point of view, really, this series has been fairly close. It's all come down to the brawling, the fighting, the synergy between everybody and their ability to, you know, just play as a team.
True.
And now, similarly to last game, we're seeing the jungler on Cassandra's side start bot side, path towards top, ensuring that he's not going to be in danger or potentially get stove.
Yeah, I'm looking at bot side as well. Zyra's quick clear means that she can path down to bot side, and if the trades are good enough for BDSA's bot lane, if they chunk Vitality.Bee enough, there could be potential dives, because you can dive and redive on Zyra that quick at clearing, especially since they don't have barrier. But Vitality.Bee being very respectful, not falling into these trades, not getting too chunked out, and that dive is probably not going to manifest.
I mean, I love that again. They've often played You know, in these early games where they don't have winning lanes, they don't have winning 2v2s. That's what we talk about with the flexibility. Kadui and Paris got more options as Rika. These trades aren't going as well as you'd think. Mystic Shot dodged away from, but Rika getting outranged here in the lane early. But Chayak is in good sorts.
Ezreal passive so strong again, the prio in the mid lane here. Rika feeling the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Nice trades coming back in, using that potion and Orange Shield to sustain back up. Chayak still has a cookie though, so he's going to maintain control for a while. But you see Paris is already moving up.
And look at this fast jungle clear from Syra. Douglas hasn't even started his blue off yet, and we see the Leona, the Syra group looking for this play in the mid lane. He had vision on them just briefly.
Yep.
And with that, he's going to be able to play back and survive.
Annoying. Ezreal can do exactly that, right? He doesn't have to worry about getting caught out, has escape tools, but the range is always going to be something we think about.
So much safety in the mid lane for both of these, even though the trades are fairly volatile.
Good dodge.
Loads of sustain for Rika, incredibly slippery as well with the CC buffers as well as the Q3. And then on the other side, you obviously have Ezreal E. So likely ganks are going to be targeted towards mid, but not going to be successful. I think, in general, though, my eyes are definitely on Grub Timer. Ooh, but look at this wave bounce back from Yoppa. They've got Vitality.Bee have got to find a way to crash this. They could be facing a potential freeze.
Well, the problem here is Skumont knows he has to recall now. You don't want to end up in a fight with Douglas coming out of base, already having the faded ashes.
Matches, Zen and Blade catches as well. The full-on engage, but the disengage from Sten buys time. Shattering Strike isn't enough, though. First blood to Kadui on this Kai'Sa. Just what the doctor ordered.
And this is what I was saying. Yoppa, he was facing a potential freeze with the wave pushing out. He needed to crash the wave, so he needed Douglas. BDSA punish. But there comes the Yoppa's TP. He's respawned again.
Oh, Douglas close to getting the Seer. Would have stunned Kadui, maybe set up for the passive, but his counter gained there. And even though Yoppa's able to TP in, first blood going to this Kai'Sa means we're going to start talking about this bot lane more and more.
And the sad part for Vitality.Bee is that they generally had the right idea. Douglas space early, sprinted towards the bot lane, but the engage from Paris was so clean, so on point. Skumont flashing in to follow as well, and there was just no counterplay for Yoppa once he first got caught.
Yeah, and the flash E coming in was pivotal for Paris. Now, no flash for Yoppa, expended there to try and get away unsuccessfully. And I'm a bit concerned because now, once again, the wave is pushing out. This could be a rinse and repeat if Zyra clears down to bot side, or they could pivot and go for these grubs, leaving Ziggs on the weak side, but once again, he is facing that bounce back without a flash.
And while Zyra currently is very far away from the bot lane, we already saw it once her clear speed is absolutely incredible. And Skumont presumably going to do his full clear. Douglas, same thing. And once the clear's done, Scottle's going to be available on the bot side. And if you're BDSA, I would be surprised if you're not doing everything in your power to hold that free spot. You already mentioned it there, Ron. It's going to be so scary for Six to push this out. He already died once. No flash available this time around. Jungle on the other side of the map. Massive danger zone bot lane.
You get that bot behind even further. And while you guys talking about the wave state, I mean, no TP, no flash available. And set up for the dive with level 6 from Rika mid as well, if he can move down as he starts pushing out this wave faster and faster. I like the way you think. You're thinking about BDSA's early gamers. They've already launched into a 700, 800 gold lead here at the 6-minute mark. We now have to see how they transition up to Grubs, as Douglas has started it off, but Stend also moving up. Well, I don't even need to talk about it, because Skumont looks like the Dragon priority is their choice this game.
Yoppa going to be able to catch down from the bot wave, and full bot side control for BDSA means they're going to secure the Dragon. On the other side, though, you do have the Grub trade, really standard in today's League of Legends, despite having all that top prio with that Gnar into the K'Sante.
I'm still thinking about the freeze. It's living rent-free in my head.
Why did
Such
they
a
let it
missed
break?
opportunity. You could have gotten the trades Drake for Grubs while freezing the wave, either forcing Six to stay, or having him lose a full wave. Now, missed opportunity. It is what it is.
Classic jungler.
And now Zyra is going to be on the other side of the map for a while and might not be able to make a play before Yoppa has his flash up again.
Yeah, you can see Douglas already coming down bot side as well to help with the crash, just in case Skumont is there. They are going to spawn out pings onto Skumont, so they are tracking him. Douglas may be fishing for something in the bot side.
Well, he can't stay here for too long. He already has Crocs and Red buff up, Raptor spawning in just a moment. Question is, are they willing to dive? Certainly looks like it.
Hang on. Did I have 2 meals? No, I'm going to eat well, though, if we watch Kadui for the dive further. The flash has come out. He's still got barrier. There's good poke under the turret. They're still trying to zone off. I am getting hungry, though, because it looks like for Vitality.Bee, they're trying to bring a bit more pace and neutralize this bottom lane. Did you guys eat?
I didn't eat, actually. I couldn't eat before this. I was too excited. But Smart Flash coming in from Kadui. Very scared of the Q Flash from Rel because there's no reaction time available. If they fully sent it, he would have had the Flash in the first place. Dive averted once again, and it definitely does feel like a game where bot lane wave management is key.
This was a pretty big mistake from the side of Vitality.Bee. Skumond knows that Douglas hasn't been able to clear his bot side yet. He knows he is prior both mid and top lane. So with that knowledge, instantly moves into the enemy top side. Now, it is worth noting, Vitality.Bee are aware of this. Stent recalled immediately, is moving top side out of base. Douglas joining soon. So while Skumond has taken away one camp already, he's in a pretty dangerous area.
Swading damage onto Douglas is good. Baited Ash is going to help out, and he takes a bit of a chunk, but Skumond now moves away. Rika gets the push in towards mid as he looks for his first plate. It's building up, gentlemen. We're just waiting for this little skirmish to kick off because Vitality.Bee look eager to fight with Sten, consistently moving. At least win today. They are affected by some kind of reverse sweep. I'm not sure which one it was, but maybe a bit of PTSD in the audience. At least you can't get reverse swept today. You started with game 1. We've come into a game 3 where things are pretty even. I feel sorry for the fans.
I think Shayak is in a bit of a pickle here. He can't get a reset off because he doesn't have teleport.
Yeah.
So he's having to draw in resources to be able to even lane until he gets that teleport back or he can find a recall. But he's stuck here. And that's going to be a black hole in terms of pressure because he's going to continuously lose priority to Rika. And that can then bleed into side lanes.
Douglas basing, moving out towards the bot side. Skumond finished most of his jungle clear. Grom still available. Question is what the next play is going to be. We see Void Grubs up in 1 minute.
Right.
I think BDSA are quickly going to realize this is going to be their last opportunity to base, spend their gold if they are to use their pressures to secure those crops for themselves.
Yeah. And Ezreal in a bit of power drop right now. A bunch of different stats for the Jack of all trades, Adaptive Force, but he is relatively weak in terms of components.
Yep.
So this skirmish around Void Grubs might be a little bit challenging. I could see Vitality.Bee trying to opt for a cross map and play for the opposite side.
Root down.
No
yeah, he gets caught out as well. Rika's fully on in. The Ziggs bomb catches him out, but look, there's not enough damage. Sten gets out on the back end and Shayak fully commits. The shield down as he crashes down, and Sten survives. 23 seconds till those grubs come up, and Skumond has no ulti. Rika has no ulti. How does this affect the setup here as we get towards those purple things?
Shayak is already quite weak, right, because he's so out of mana that the ultimate difference might not matter too much. Rika's TP is off cooldown at a very similar time, so we could just see a recall for a recall, a TP for a TP, but it does look like Skumond, he wants to contest, he's looking for another gank.
Or Shayak low on mana as well. There's a flash available, but Shayak, if he has to burn it away, it gives you more opportunity. Skumond moves into position, holds the line, as that might give things away. Kadui. Void Seeker doesn't get anything. Skumond now moves up and says it's time to equalize these grubs that were pulled out by Vitality.Bee earlier on.
Sajak has been under an incredible amount of pressure this game. The amount of times they've looked for him cannot even be counted on one hand at this point, but he keeps holding his line and is only down a couple of seers despite it all.
Ooh,
great job on the Ezreal. Rika basing. We're going to be seeing the Ezreal base in not too long as well. Actually holding it a little bit longer here. And 30 seconds now on the Drake. Skumond still in the Void Grubs, is going to have to shift down soon if they are to contest this one as well.
That cancel onto Rika is a little bit annoying. He couldn't recall because then he would have to TP, but his TP was unavailable. So now he's going to have to recall. He might be a little bit late onto any kind of skirmish. Shayak, I imagine, that's going to do the same.
Skumond, though, it's a pincer movement onto Genex. He tries to go, he fakes it back onto Skumond. Blast Cone is there. The smite slows him down, but the all-out gets him out of harm's way. But the Wild Growth is back up and available. And against the wall, Genex says enough is enough and picks up his kill.
Skumond spaced that so well. He stayed permanently just out of range of Cassante ultimate grab, and that forced Genex to, Naka rather, to flash forward and ult him, but then it's all his mobility gone. He just gets run down after that.
Now, the question is how Vitality.Bee are going to punish, knowing Syra stayed on top side for so long. Instant response is going to be to take away the scrum camp, keep pushing bot. The tower bot is going to get very low soon, and Six is very close to being able to take this away with his W. Skumond immediately walking bot side out of base, still wanting to see if they can contest this streak.
He just used W on the minions, by the way, so it's a little bit delayed until now as Yoppa gets first turret blood. The power of Ziggs shown out as gold is now even because of that trade.
And you can see what BDSA were fishing for. They thought to themselves, maybe we can find an engage here and play with Kai'Sa ultimate to dash forward and die. Paris definitely wanted to look for it. But in terms of the tower trade, 3 grubs to 3 grubs, but on one side you have Ziggs, the tower damage is always going to be greater.
Yeah.
Well, let's see right here. Vitality.Bee would really like to base soon. They have a lot of gold in their pockets right now after making that play bot, but they know that if they do recall, BDSA are going to get Drake for free.
Wild Growth is not there and available. Skirmishes has the flash though. This could be an all-in. There's no steal. A Cloud Dragon. Vitality.Bee equalize, and you could see BDSA were trying to engineer the perfect engage.
Yeah, you could see Kadui really trying. He landed the Void Seeker. He wanted to go in.
On a ward.
Shayek, maybe fishing.
They know they're all there on a ward. I mean, BDSA have walked past this, so Vitality.Bee don't need to overcommit. They sacrifice a little bit in terms of their Raptors and let them walk out. And this is also a base on a ward, but Vitality.Bee get that timing we talked about. Broxer, I like that you mentioned. They had a lot of gold to spend. Some first items coming out of the hat here with Douglas, Naknako, Yoppa with their first item indeed.
I think Vitality.Bee has already grown massively throughout the series. The performance in Game 2 and Game 3 as well compared to Game 1, it's not even comparable. And they're now playing really cautiously, really smart, making sure they don't give too much over to BDSA and keeping them in this position where they're only 500 gold up. Makes the game very, very close. Rift Herald is spawning in 20 seconds. Usually, this is where we see the magic happen around these objectives. Ezreal basing in bot lane, doesn't have TP, has to shift up. But Skirmishes is basing really, really late, and it may look like BDSA could give this up.
Yeah, I don't think BDSA can contest this, right? You just had Gnar turn into mini Gnar, so there's no contest there in terms of the combat power. There's loads of wards down in bot though, right? Down in the enemy jungle, down here, that's a potential TP into a bot dive that you can maybe play for, although it might be a little bit too late now. It does look like BDSA are going to contest regardless, but walking through that choke is going to be difficult.
And we saw BDSA buying a bit of time for their jungler to make it back here. They don't dare to walk in though. They know that there's a lot of hard engage coming from Vitality.Bee. They have to be super cautious. They need to wait for Genax to use his top prior to shift down, stack up the Mega Gnar, and then force a fight.
And better smite available as well. Upgraded smite here for Skirmishes because of that fast clear you talked about in the early game. 4 left for Douglas, so bit of an advantage here if it turns into a smite fight as Vitality.Bee have taken some health bar trades. Naknako avoiding Genax as he runs out of Mega Gnar. They turn onto Paris and they think this is the better angle. Mega Inferno Bomb, True Shot Barrage. It flies across the rift as Genax opens up the turret. A smart map move from BDSA while they're waiting for the play.
2 ultimates used now in this contest for the Rift Herald. BDSA and Vitality.Bee, they might like a lot of damage.
Well, right now, BDSA are ripping apart Vitality.Bee in the macro game. They were able to get top turret. Now Rika is pushing bot with teleport available, getting bot turret in just a moment as well. Herald is being started. We're seeing desperation coming out of Vitality.Bee. And now, we're about to have a big fight.
And we're about to go Mega Gnar as well. Genax on the back end is a steal, but for how long? Genax wipes the floor with Yoppa. They can't deal with him as BDSA on the rest of the fight not only stole the Herald, not only broke apart the side lanes, but broke apart Vitality's mental in this third game.
An attack from every angle. You can see Genax playing with the side of the fight so that when there was a commit forward, he was just whittling them down. And in the end, Kadui off of the other side, finding the engage, and the dive win condition comes through.
I think this is beautiful out of BDSA. They were simply one step ahead the entire time. And that 500 gold lead now turned into 4,000 all of a sudden with another Drake spawning in 1 minute and 40 seconds. And I'm curious to see if they can set up that objective just as nicely.
I mean, those items are going to start showing advantages. That gold starting to show adversity against Vitality.Bee. As you said, it's now just bloomed into this beautiful gold lead that let's hit again as Kadui might be caught out. Vitality.Bee not out and about, instead in and want to continue as Kadui flashes over the wall. Naknako teleported in, but a blast code interrupted. Naknako again says no, no, no.
What an insane cancel on to the blast code, and shout out to Stend as well. Not standing next to the wall, so Kadui couldn't ult over the other wall on the escape. Great bit of micro from both players.
Well, right now, we're seeing Naknako having no TP available. BDSA gonna start setting up this dragon. And if Vitality.Bee are to respond, they're going to have to react quickly or they're going to end up in the same position again where Genax pushes out top, creates the prio, and they're forced to start the objective again, turning into a bad fight. It looks like Vitality.Bee have accepted that because the TP is down, they have to shift towards top and they're actually looking for Genax.
Yeah, they're looking for it. They're going to wait for this Mega Gnar timer to go out. They have a bunch of vision, and no vision here for Genax, rather. Maybe some trades from Naknako to bait him in.
But this is the experience advantage. This is what Genax brings to the table.
This guy that people again are saying he shouldn't be here, he should be in the LEC. Holds firm, knows Mega Nar's running out, and he knows he's getting ganked here. He's playing so cautiously.
Look at that ward there, potentially spotting out his mini.
All in, tries to outplay it. He is level 13, remember, and he's got 2 items. The damage on the Nak is going to be insane as we talk about the old advantage. The all-in is there, but Genax about to go Mega Nar. I think this goes horribly wrong. He goes ulti, he only gets the wave. Yoppa gets nothing here as Vitality.Bee commit 4 members to the top side and find nothing.
Douglas's spells were so close to clipping Genax. He gets pulled out by the Magnet Storm so that the Pillar of Flame and the Q from Brand don't quite connect. He gets to live long enough, and he turns Mega Nar. Another play averted by BDSA.
And with that, still 4,000 gold up. Drake secured for free. Genax moving out towards bot side. And now the next step for BDSA is going to be to push outside Steep with the advantage. Shift towards mid and eventually crash, you know, a wave while they're rotating, securing that mid tier 1 for themselves.
Is he in trouble? Arcane Shift available, Wild Growth zones, but Shayak in front of it. Genax is here as well. A pick to boot would be huge. He tries the 1v2, flushes. Skirmishes! Blown to pieces by Yoppa. But it's BDSA who fight fire with even more burning hot glory. Understand, the autos come through. Genax ulti's in. It's a free kill. Vitality.Bee getting torn apart. And all of a sudden, BDSA feel the momentum again and get a favorable trade.
It's a bloodbath down in the bot side. They managed to find a pick on Shayak, overextending. Nako.
He might be next. He's got flash available, gets a knockback, but he turns it on its head. Unsolvable for the time being. Rika only gets out with a turret shot, and Nako does as well. On this Cassante, he's holding firm.
Once again, we're seeing the power of the counter picks. Nako is so far behind, he can't make these plays, but on the other side, Genax finding the plays, picking onto Shayak. Another winning play from BDSA.
We're now seeing the big item spikes coming in for BDSA in top and in jungle. Almost 2,000 gold up ahead in both roles.
Nice.
They're going to be in a very, very comfortable position to keep this snowball rolling.
But I love again that Vitality are still trying to commit to these plays, right? It's not like game 1 Broxit where we're like, oh, they're getting baited into plays and they have to respond. This time they're trying to be proactive, but you're right, BDSA in great positions. And when we think about this series, when we think about these 10 players who are all vying to be seen in the region, seen in EMEA, they are trying to perform out of their right mind on the big stage here in Munich.
And right now, we're going to need to see Vitality.Bee setting up good defensive vision and shutting down BDSA's attempts to push the game forward. We see Six already setting up in the mid lane with this fantastic wave clear. We see them setting up great vision around the bot side.
Skirmon, the poke is there as well, and he gets knocked sky high. Douglas is just dead. Skirmon, though, on the return is hit by Yoppa. A TP to commit from Nako, but it is also a bit of a shutdown here for Yoppa on the Ziggs. Vitality.Bee, when they're this far behind, trading ain't too bad to speak of.
It isn't too bad at all. Douglas desperately wants to farm his topside camps, but Yoppa's there with the counterplay. The pick onto Skirmon, 1-for-1 down in the bot side now. Gonna go into a bit of a lull state. Baron not available for either team because of the lack of smites, but there is a lot of Baron damage on that side of the team, on BDSA.
We're seeing it again. You mentioned just before Historics, Vitality.Bee are ready to strike, ready to punish the slightest over-aggression, and these are the moments they need to continue looking for. Question is, how does BDSA crack this mid tower? We're going to need to see a lot of practiceness from their side lanes here. Like I said earlier, you have to push inside deep and move towards mid now. With Cassandra no longer having TP available, a lot of the pressure is going to come from Genax, who has the TP advantage. BDSA could also look to hit the Baron at some point. We see 2 items with Kaiser, 2 items Syra. You have a lot of damage onto that objective.
Constant side pressure as well for the Gnar here. It might translate into a potential TP flank. I see a red ward, which is now being cleared out.
Oh my god. But how annoying is this? All in. Meanwhile, Rika tries to find an angle. Vitality.Bee still in the defense. And while we are talking about BDSA using that advantage, the sieging is so annoying against the Ziggs. The wave clear is even more annoying against the 2-item Ziggs. And Yoppa knows his role. Ult committed, half HP on mid turreters. Hang on a minute. Cassante versus Zyra, and Plants won't win today, but at least zones out. Paris, meanwhile, another pick set up. Vitality.Bee not slowing down. True Barrage, but Leona is so tanky. Flashes for Yoppa. Solar Flare there as well. He takes a while to die, but Vitality.Bee get the kill. Now for the Wild Growth. The Chopper hit on the back end. Genax zoned away. He still gets his ulti as Rika from the side. Flashed away by Douglas, but gets the back end angle. BDSA unrelenting in their own right. Vitality.Bee zoned them away, but the Ziggs that's been a thorn in the side is down. What did it cost?
Well, great force here from Vitality.Bee. Janax really did not want to invest his teleport there. That was not only a losing fight, but this was his opportunity to pressure up bot lane, hit the tower, and create a number of advances for his team, but everything just happened a bit too quickly with Paros. Once again, we saw it in last game, time and time again, being a little over-eager, getting caught, and that's a habit that they have to get rid of real quickly, or Vitality.Bee is going to continue to strike back.
It's just constant one-for-ones. The game is just on such a knife's edge, because the second that someone falls one too many, that's an instant Baron start, and now we've got a Dragon contest.
And I mean, we've got a 4K gold lead, but it has been slimmed out, it has been stalled, it has been halted, and plays like this again, as we talk about Paros getting caught out. Brox has said it, and I hear it, but Sten might divert. Brox has baited, and so have Vitality.Bee as Nuko tries to get on out with his front line, gets burnt down to its under 2. Skewmon jumped on. Triac feeling it. The burn enough, no. Red buff, the healing comes in clutch.
Just living on a sliver of HP. The Omni-Vamp from the jungle item now might be crucial in them getting this dragon that's up and available as well.
Can they get mid? On top of that, I mean, Vitality.Bee don't look like they have the damage, and Janax is about to go mega.
Wow, for a moment I thought Paros was getting caught again, but this time they were simply one step ahead. So many members were ready to follow, and we're going to see BDSA really exploding their lead here, getting third Drake being one step closer to Soul. Riga is pushing bot lane, but Vitality.Bee trying to establish some control here. They will get...
you can see once again, BDSA, you know, they scout the enemy potential cross-map play. Janax plays as a human ward, and he spots, you know, maybe there's some weird kind of Baron start going on as a solo for the Douglas. I wonder if there's an accident, though, as he's trying to sweep our vision.
It's just painful, isn't it? I mean, BDSA, we're back to square one, 2.5K gold lead in the top lane that we've constantly been talking about. And note that Janax for the past 5 minutes hasn't actually backed. He's sitting on a lot of gold you'd expect, and that recurve bow was there about 5-6 minutes ago as well. I'll be curious to see when he gets towards third, as that's the back. Giant's belt comes through. So we're sitting on a little bit, maybe less than I expected. But regardless, the item diversity here is showing its individual lead.
Now, this top lane jungle control is going to be incredibly important, because you want to make it really difficult for Vitality.Bee to face check into the jungle so you can start up a Nash at a random time. Rush it down incredibly quickly, but it looks like they're taking control again of the river.
Well, right now, we have TP advantage on the Cassandra, so it's a great time for Vitality.Bee to start forcing, as Janax has to move all the way up. He's going to show bot lane here. They see him, and they're going to try to brute force.
Well, again, we saw some of these plays in the last game as well, as they try and brute force. It's onto Paros once more, but under turret, that's their true goal. Solar Flare dodged away from, but the front lane engage is the target from BDSA. Vitality.Bee walk on away as the poke from Kadui lands, but mid turret held onto, and both teams are so adamant in keeping mid alive for as long as possible.
We're just seeing the same thing over and over again. Side lane pressure into mid, trying to hit the tower, at most to get a demolish proc and a little bit of chip damage, but it never really amounts to anything. Poke for poke comes out, but once again, I think if I'm by BDSA, I'm more so looking at this bot lane tier 2 tower, especially with how strong Janax is in side lane.
The value of this 6-pick is absolutely immense here as well. 26 minutes in. Vitality.Bee struggling for most of it, but he's managed to single-handedly keep this mid tower alive for so long, which makes it much more difficult for BDSA to get the deep vision, get the control, and continue to push forward to get these tier 2.
Killer instinct flash to Dewey, feeling it too hard, he's bombed down, punish, and that shutdown, Kadui, maybe too high.
His barrier was up in 5 seconds. It was so close, but the dive under Douglas smells it coming, and he full combos Kadui. Stomps him into the pavement.
Respect or what, Broxton?
I think that's what we call nerves right there. That was a very aggressive play. Could even have been a misclick, but ultimately doesn't matter too much, because luckily for him, his team is so far ahead, they can easily buy time for him to come back. And while the Kaiser is still gray screened, they're starting to set up vision on the top side, wanting to push in really aggressively top mid, wanting to secure deep vision for themselves.
Good dodge away from the Zenith play, but Rika here is going to do a lot of work in a lot of short time. The 3-item Yone, Sten gets out of there, remembering he has Warmogs as he tries to face check as BDSA. Clear vision around for this Baron threaten.
So much tension around this top side. It's been going on for the past 15 minutes, 10 minutes rather. This Baron start is so potent, and both supports refuse to be picked off, which is what you normally see when they're contesting these vision boards.
Nuko poked out, Janax no Mega Gnar, trying to use range, is Yop up. for their first EMEA Masters title. It would lead them to match point. It would lead them to an affirmative action as BDSA start the Baron.
Douglas has been spotted down in bot side. They're rushing it down. BDSA, Vitality.Bee, they can't contest.
They're poked down.
Too far away.
Their health bars are down. This is a massive mistake, and BDSA pounds the first seed of the LFL in full control of Sten. Starts to engage. Genax poked out himself, and they need a bit more range. True Barrage helps out, but he's burnt. Regardless, Douglas sits there. His poke is a response from Kadui. It's a one-kill trade for Baron and mid-turret, but Baron's now off the map, and BDSA with quick thinking.
You simply cannot send your jungler down to do red buff at this point in the game. Huge mistake from Douglas here, and it led to the side of BDSA instantly punishing his overstep, instantly taking the Baron for themselves. And now they will finally have the power, finally will be able to secure the mid tower that they've been trying to secure for almost 30 minutes.
Well, congrats to that guy. BDSA pick up Baron, able to get their side lanes in order. He will not be sleeping on the couch tonight.
I will say, there is one thing good about this, and that's one of the side laners has lost Baron. Not having Baron's going to be really detrimental to the side lane play, but what they've done is instead they stick Rika up top side, and that pressure up top could translate into a TP flank as well on this Dragon.
I'm getting hypey because as we see TP come through from Genax, Stend has shown he's been willing to take these engages and set up Vitality.Bee, but Skumon sits good for now. He's got a Banshee's Veil too. As Soul's there, gentlemen, a defining fight in this game. Teleports kicks us off.
Yeah, there's a TP ward behind the pit as well. If they want to go for that Rika, he could pull off the miracle flank.
Here comes the Yone slowly but surely looking for the flank, but Vitality.Bee has made sure to cover their flanks.
Barrett's engaged. Rika goes melee as well. Try to get to the back end. Rika's jumped on though, and no kill. Genax ulti does nothing. Vitality.Bee are healthy as we get an explosion from the mid laner in the back end. Genax tries as he will as Stend is hit. Kadui doesn't have the fly in. The flash in. Vitality.Bee a sting in, but Kadui cleans it out. Yoppa zones him through. This dragon is not solved as Douglas is now down. No smite, and BDSA have them right where they want them. Kadui on the back end, he dies too, but a smite secures Soul, and margins, so close on the margins, but BDSA are alive again.
An insane back and forth with a counterplay after every single play. It looked like such a great angle for the Yone to find a 4-man ultimate, but he doesn't connect it, only finds onto one person. And in the end, it doesn't even look that great, but then what you have is an overextension from Nako. It looks like he can find the play with the ultimate, but it doesn't quite connect, and he gets bursted down.
Such a good position here for Vitality.Bee, but Skumon doesn't die, Nako ends up gray screen. And here we see the snipe from Kadui onto Douglas that seals the deal. So many low health bars, so close to a massive comeback play, but instead it's a dire situation for the Bees at this point in time.
And I mean, that just showcases Vitality.Bee trying to play up to the margins, but BDSA, they've got them downloaded, at least in this point. Look at the team fight damage, and you're not surprised that Kadui is hitting range. That Skumon's earlier lead is also doing a lot for this team in game number 3. BDSA now with Hextech Soul will go to a pause, but a 7K gold lead. It does feel like this is their game now to lose.
The level of micro for both of these teams, especially BDSA in that last fight, playing with Skumon isolated. I thought Skumon was dead there on that Zyra.
Good, isn't
Very
it?
low HP, completely out of range of his team, but managing to find the plays, managing to use his bait to find the play.
I feel like it's stage buff. The stage buff that's come through and the level that, I think, Broxy, you said at the start of this game, Vitality.Bee have adapted to the series. They've shown a lot of improvement. BDSA always kind of there as well. Like the macro play we saw in this game, playing towards side lanes and then getting the Baron, of course, was just smart map moving, having that information. BDSA punished massively. And look, the crowd's out. It's been glorious for these players. Not only getting stage time, but getting the respect they deserve. Your claps are heard. We're going to resume the game. That's normally how it works. Respectable play is right. And BDSA, that's exactly what that last Dragon play was.
And I really love this Banshee's pickup for Skumon. It's going to make that win condition of picking him off and throwing that Ziggs ultimate over his head even more difficult to achieve because he just cannot be CC'd for that one moment. Now the siege is going to come through. Are Vitality going to contest this the tier 2s? I imagine just going to let them fall and protect those tier 3s.
There's still 2 minutes left for Baron. We're going to see BDSA soon looking for a final recall before it's time to shine and seal the deal by securing that final objective for themselves. Lona and Kaiser already heading back, the rest to follow soon. And now Vitality.Bee are going to be under a lot of pressure. They were so close on the Dragon. They almost made it back into this game. But now they need to win a fight. You don't get any second chances here. And they have set up some vision. Some of the jungle is dark. Maybe they can finally engage on a face-checking BDSA here.
I think Hextech solves such a huge hurdle to overcome, right? I think what they need to do is wait for Yoppa to complete that death cap on the Ziggs and rely on this. What they've drafted is a huge AoE wombo combo with the random damage from the Brandle and the Ziggs all over the top of CC. They need to make sure that's strong enough to contest, and that means waiting for the death cap.
Well, again, while we wait for that, Yoppa, it's all about the resources he can acquire on this defense. This defense at BDSA with this Soul can play so deep now, acquire that vision that we talked about into the enemy jungle to spot. Vitality.Bee have to get inventive here, and I think with Hextech Soul, it makes it a little bit harder. I think Hextech Rift does a little bit of work as the wave is cleared at least, thanks to Ziggs. Yoppa keeping the push slow.
They do have the ability to stall. We talked about all game long. The amount of time it took for the tier 1s to break, now happening to the tier 2s as well.
Poke comes down. Again, Douglas is standing here. BDSA thinking about an engage, but they're on a ward. They haven't cleared out everything, so Vitality.Bee know where they can step in range of Paris.
And right now it's a waiting game for BDSA more than anything. You don't have to take any risks. You don't have to go aggressive.
Vitality.Bee say screw that. They go on in. Skewmon is going to die. But into the backline, Rika with a one-man ulti. Golden is in the nick of time as Nuck pushes them against the wall. Vitality.Bee are winning this fight for now, but Nucko's getting burnt down. The engage comes through and you can see Rika wants to zone on out as the ulti. Not good from Kadui until he ranges with W. We're close to margins again, but BDSA are hitting their shots. It may as well be a different game because Kadui is hitting them down with the sniper.
And fun fact, Gen-X wasn't even there. He was pushing mid lane, taking the inhib the entire time. So now they can all group mid and bring this one home. Incredible fighting from BDSA once again. 4 members on Vitality.Bee side dying with their flashes up as well.
We came into this saying BDSA individually are just better. That fight shows us all we need to see. Match point, one step closer to the title. BDSA are back again.
Incredible game from BDSA. They were in control for the majority of it. They made great adaptations in draft, great adaptations in their play. And we saw the power of this team here firsthand. The team fighting, the coordination, the macro, everything was just there.
So much skirmishing power coming from BDSA. The level of micro in these teamfights from both teams so contested, but Hextech Soul was just too much to overcome.
It was, but it was so close. A game 3 to be remembered here, as our 2 LFL teams may come to an ultimatum here. BDSA on match point to pick up that trophy. We find out if they can do it right after this break.
Freely using Katarina's cook.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Kindred cautiously
cooked Kit Kat cupcakes.
Carefully using Katarina's cute cookie cutters.
Ooh! I'm on it. I'm ready. Let's go.